For decades, NATO has been the bedrock of global security, ensuring the stability of Europe and deterring major conflicts. But what if the United States, the alliance's most powerful member, suddenly withdrew? The repercussions would be immediate, widespread, and potentially catastrophic. Without American military and financial support, NATO would be fundamentally weakened, and the geopolitical landscape would shift dramatically. The crucial role of America in NATO. Since NATO's establishment in 1949, the United States has played a central role in the alliance. The principle of collective defense, embodied in Article 5 of the NATO Treaty, states that an attack on one member is considered an attack on all. The strength of this principle has always been backed by American military might, which remains unmatched among NATO members. The United States contributes the largest share of NATO's defense budget, covering approximately 70% of total expenditures. Beyond financial contributions, its network of military bases across Europe, its nuclear deterrence, and its leadership in crisis situations make it the backbone of NATO's security strategy. American forces stationed in Germany, Poland, and the Baltic states serve as a powerful deterrent against adversarial nations, particularly Russia. The U.S. also provides rapid response capabilities, advanced intelligence gathering, and military infrastructure that European nations alone would struggle to replace. If America were to leave NATO, the alliance would be reduced to a much weaker collective, facing serious operational and strategic difficulties. The absence of American military assets would not just impact Europe, it would destabilize the global balance of power. The immediate impact on European security. If the United States exited NATO, Europe would face a security crisis almost instantly. Countries on NATO's eastern flank, such as Poland, Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia, would suddenly find themselves without their strongest protector. These nations, which have relied on American military presence as a shield against Russian aggression, would become vulnerable to increased pressure from Moscow. Russia, which has already demonstrated its willingness to expand its influence through military action in Georgia in 2008 and Ukraine in 2014, could interpret the absence of U.S. protection as an invitation to test NATO's resolve. The credibility of NATO's deterrent strategy relies heavily on the assumption that the U.S. would intervene in any conflict. Without that assurance, Russia might engage in more aggressive posturing or even military incursions into former Soviet territories. The immediate response in Europe would be an attempt to fill the void left by the U.S., Germany, France, and the UK would likely take the lead in reinforcing NATO's presence, but the financial and logistical challenges would be enormous. European countries would need to significantly increase their defense budgets, a difficult task for nations that have historically depended on American military support. Germany, which has long kept its military spending below the NATO target of 2% of GDP, would have to rapidly expand its forces, potentially reversing decades of post-war pacifism. However, even with increased military spending, Europe would struggle to build a military force capable of deterring Russia in the short term. Establishing a coordinated European defense force would take years, if not decades. Without American nuclear deterrence, the power dynamic in Europe would shift dramatically, leaving smaller nations exposed to greater geopolitical risks. Geopolitical consequences beyond Europe. The effects of a U.S. withdrawal from NATO would not be limited to Europe. The international balance of power would shift as global adversaries took advantage of the situation. China, already a growing military and economic superpower, would likely see a weakened NATO as an opportunity to expand its influence. With the Western alliance divided, Beijing might become more aggressive in the South China Sea, increasing tensions with Taiwan, Japan, and other regional actors. A divided NATO could also impact U.S. commitments in Asia, forcing American policymakers to prioritize security concerns in the Pacific rather than in Europe. The Middle East, already a volatile region, would also feel the effects of an American exit from NATO. Key U.S. allies, such as Israel and Saudi Arabia, would perceive the withdrawal as a sign of diminishing American commitment to global security. This could lead to a realignment of alliances, with some nations seeking closer ties with Russia or China to ensure their own protection. Without America's leadership, NATO's credibility as a global security organization would be severely damaged. The concept of collective defense, which has been the cornerstone of NATO's success, would be called into question. If the world's most powerful nation can walk away from its commitments, other member states might follow, leading to the fragmentation or eventual collapse of the alliance. In response, individual nations might pursue their own security measures, potentially leading to an arms race in Europe. Countries that have long relied on NATO's nuclear umbrella might seek to develop their own nuclear deterrence, leading to a significant shift in global nuclear policy. A world in which multiple European nations possess independent nuclear arsenals would be a much more unstable one. Economic and social fallout. The economic consequences of an American exit from NATO would be severe. Global markets thrive on stability, and the sudden dissolution of the world's most powerful military alliance would trigger financial turmoil. Trade agreements, particularly those between the US and Europe, could be affected as diplomatic relations shift. Investors would respond to the uncertainty with caution, leading to fluctuations in stock markets and currency values. Energy security would become a major concern, particularly for European nations dependent on Russian gas. Without a strong NATO presence, European countries might find themselves in a weaker negotiating position when dealing with Moscow. This could lead to higher energy prices, causing economic strain on businesses and consumers alike. Beyond economics, there would be a significant psychological impact on European societies. For decades, people in NATO member states have lived under the assumption that their security is guaranteed. The sudden realization that war could once again become a real possibility would lead to increased anxiety and uncertainty. Military conscription, once a relic of the past in many European nations, might be reintroduced to strengthen national defenses. Governments would likely push for greater military recruitment, shifting resources toward defense at the expense of social programs. This would have long-term implications for political stability and public trust in leadership. The fragile nature of global security. The scenario of the United States leaving NATO is, for now, a hypothetical one. However, recent political developments have shown that alliances once considered permanent can change rapidly. Political leaders who advocate for isolationism or a reduced role in global affairs could push for a NATO withdrawal, fundamentally altering the world order. This scenario serves as a stark reminder of how fragile global security truly is. It highlights the importance of international cooperation and the role that strong alliances play in maintaining peace. Without NATO, the world would become a much more dangerous place, where instability and uncertainty replace decades of relative security. NATO's strength has always been rooted in unity, and any cracks in that unity could have dire consequences. The continued presence of the United States in NATO ensures that the principles of collective defense, deterrence, and stability remain intact. As the world navigates an era of shifting geopolitics, the importance of NATO as a stabilizing force cannot be overstated. The question remains, if the unthinkable happened and America left NATO, could Europe and the rest of the world adapt in time to prevent chaos? What do you think? Could Europe survive without America in NATO? Would new alliances emerge, or would this lead to a global crisis? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video informative, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more in-depth discussions on global affairs and geopolitical issues. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a future upload. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.